How Mossad agents let artificial intelligence pull the trigger on Iran's nuclear father. Morning light spilled slowly across the hills outside Absard, east of Tehran. The small convoy of cars moved calmly along the narrow road, just as it did on many Fridays. To most people it looked like an ordinary drive through a peaceful countryside. But inside the lead vehicle sat a man whose life had not been ordinary for decades, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. The scientist often described by foreign governments as the father of Iran's nuclear research program. Fakhrizadeh was tired. His wife sat beside him reading a message on her phone, and two additional cars with security personnel followed behind. Even after many years of pressure, accusations and threats, he tried to keep life simple. He enjoyed quiet drives, weekend trips, and the hope that one day the political storms around him would calm. This morning felt normal, or at least as normal as life allowed. Far away, in a different country, a small group of Mossad operators watched the same road through a live video feed. They were not in a dim movie-style control room. They were in a modern, brightly lit operations center, each workstation covered in screens. The atmosphere was not dramatic. It was tense, precise, almost cold. They spoke little. The mission was the result of years of surveillance, months of planning, and many layers of approval. A technician monitored the video, streamed from a camera hidden in a parked pickup truck on the roadside. Inside that vehicle sat the weapon, a remotely operated machine gun, fixed in position, surrounded by systems designed to steady the barrel and correct its aim. It was not a robot assassin capable of its own decisions. Instead, it was a tool, one controlled by a human operator and supported by software, meant to correct problems caused by distance, delay, and vibration. From the live feed, Fakhrizadeh's car approached. The operator adjusted his controls. The camera view shook slightly as the car moved closer, but the stabilizing software corrected most of it. An analyst quietly confirmed the identity of the target. Another operator checked the safety fields, where the other cars were, whether civilians were entering the area, whether the line of fire remained clear. Every step required human approval. The software was only there to reduce errors, not to choose anyone's fate. Inside the car, Fakhrizadeh spoke to his wife in a quiet tone. He seemed relaxed. The guard vehicles kept a normal formation. No one suspected that the nearby parked truck, looking worn and unimportant, was not a truck at all, but a disguised weapon station. Back in the operations center, the team confirmed the window was opening. The operator placed his hands on the controls. The system compensated for the slight delay between countries. A small indicator showed that the stabilization algorithms were active, ready to keep the barrel steady no matter how the car moved. The convoy rolled nearer. The distance closed. The operator took a slow breath. And the mission, years in the making, approached the point where there was no return. The moment the convoy reached the small curve in the road, the atmosphere inside the operations center tightened. Nothing dramatic happened in the room. No alarms, no shouting, but every operator straightened in their chair. The mission had reached the critical point where timing mattered more than anything else. On the main screen, the parked pickup truck remained perfectly still. From the outside, it looked abandoned. A little dust on the bumper, a few dents on the side, and no sign of activity. But inside its frame, hidden behind panels and metal plates, sat the remotely operated weapon, connected by cables to cameras, stabilizers, and a control system. The operator responsible for firing was calm but focused. He had trained for this moment many times using simulations, studying every angle of that rural Iranian road. He knew the delays between his commands and the weapon's response. The artificial intelligence assistance was active, ready to correct micro-movements and keep the aim stable. But the final judgment, the decision to fire, belonged entirely to him. "Target entering zone," said a quiet voice behind him. The convoy slowed slightly as it reached a speed bump. The lead car remained in perfect view. A black sedan, windows lightly tinted, its movement predictable and smooth. On the camera feed, the system locked into its correction mode. The operator moved the controls gently, watching how the gun tracked with almost no wobble. The stabilization made the image feel strangely calm, even though everyone in the room felt their heartbeats rise. Inside the sedan, Fakhrizadeh showed no sign of noticing anything unusual. His wife pointed out something on the roadside. Perhaps a shop, perhaps scenery, and he turned his head for a moment, distracted by a domestic detail. Their conversation was simple, ordinary, far removed from the tension growing thousands of kilometers away. The operator watched the confirmation markers turn from yellow to green. A second analyst verified that no civilian vehicle had entered the line of fire. Another checked the positions of the security cars to ensure they would not be hit. There was no rushing. Every step was deliberate. "Clear," one analyst said. "Confirmed," said another. The operator exhaled slowly. With his left hand, he adjusted the fine-tuning of the sight. With his right, he rested a finger on the trigger control. The system's software reduced the tiny shake caused by the car's movement, filtering out noise, stabilizing the crosshair. In the sedan, Fakhrizadeh leaned back, unaware of the small red light blinking on the weapon system. A light he would never see. The operator waited for the exact moment he had trained for, the moment predicted by planners and analysts for weeks. The crosshair steadied. A quiet voice behind him said, "You're green." And in a room far from Iran, the operator pressed the trigger. The first shots broke the calm of the countryside like a sudden shattering of glass. Fakhrizadeh's car jerked as bullets struck the front and windshield. The scientist instinctively leaned forward, unsure where the attack was coming from. For a moment, everything felt unreal. The kind of moment when the mind tries to understand what the eyes cannot. His wife screamed his name. The security cars behind them reacted with confusion. Doors opening halfway. Guards trying to take cover. Others searching for an attacker they couldn't see. They expected an ambush with men stepping out of bushes or from behind cars. But the road was empty. No gunmen, no vehicles speeding away, no smoke. Only the parked pickup truck that seemed far too ordinary to be the source of the assault. Inside the truck, the weapon continued firing in short, controlled bursts. Each movement of the barrel looked almost mechanical, corrected by the stabilization, software, and guided by a human operator watching from far away. The adjustments were tiny, almost invisible, the kind of micro-movements no hand could make perfectly on its own, especially with the delay caused by long-distance control. But the software kept the aim smooth, steady, unshaken by the car's motion. Inside the sedan, Fakhrizadeh struggled to regain control. Blood stained his shirt, and his breathing grew sharp. He reached for the door, trying to step out, perhaps to shield his wife or signal to the security team. But another burst hit the car, forcing him back. Shattered glass fell onto the seats. His wife tried to pull him down, crying out for help as guards finally realized the shots were coming from the pickup truck ahead. One of the guards fired toward the truck, but the distance was too far, and the weapon hidden inside its frame kept firing with cold precision. Another guard shouted orders, trying to coordinate the response, but the chaos was overwhelming. The attackers were nowhere to be seen, and the weapon did not reveal itself with a human presence. It simply continued its programmed pattern. Wait for operator input. Stabilize, fire, adjust, fire again. Back in the operations center, the operator focused on the target. He did not celebrate or speak. His face remained tense and neutral. The analysts kept watching the feeds, checking the positions of all vehicles. They noted the moment the security team began firing toward the truck. Though the bullets did not reach, the supervisor gave a short command. "Cease. Prepare for shutdown." The operator released the trigger. The last echo of gunfire faded from the Iranian road. For a moment, there was only silence in the operations center, broken only by the hum of electronics. On the screen, Fakhrizadeh's car rolled slightly forward, bumping against the edge of the road and stopping. In Absard, the scene was filled with screams, dust, and confusion. The distant operations center, the mission's combat phase was over. The road in Absard was quiet again, but the calm was heavy, tense, and full of shock. Dust settled on the asphalt. Glass sparkled like small crystals on the roadside. The convoy had stopped, guards and bystanders running, trying to understand what had just happened. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh lay in the car, gravely wounded as his wife leaned over him, calling his name and trying to shield him. Emergency sirens began in the distance, but there was little anyone could do. The attackers had vanished without leaving a trace. No one saw who fired. No one saw a shooter approach or retreat. The only sign was the abandoned pickup truck on the roadside, looking ordinary, its secret hidden inside its frame. Back in the operations center, the team monitored the final feeds. Screens showed the aftermath, the stopped convoy, the panicked security guards, the quiet village road. Analysts noted each detail carefully. The human operators debriefed themselves silently, checking every step to ensure no mistake had been made. The AI-assisted system had performed exactly as intended, compensating for delays, vibrations, and small errors. But every critical decision had been made by humans. The software had only supported precision. For the people in Absard, it was a scene of confusion and horror. For the analysts, it was confirmation that months of planning had succeeded. For the operators, it was over in minutes. But the weight of what had happened pressed on them. They understood that a life had ended far away, in a small car on a quiet road, while the machine they controlled had done exactly what it was designed to do: assist humans, not replace them. Authorities in Iran would later investigate the attack, examining evidence, interviewing witnesses, and tracing the weapon. They described it as an unprecedented act, a remotely controlled machine assisted by advanced stabilization systems. They spoke about the precision, the planning, and the strange absence of attackers at the scene. Publicly, they claimed the weapon might have fired autonomously, but most investigative reports suggested that it had been guided by human operators, with AI only assisting the aim. The contrast was striking. One moment, a quiet road with cars rolling under the morning sun. The next, a violent operation executed with extraordinary technical sophistication. And behind it all, the human mind's planning, monitoring, and acting, using software tools to extend their control over a remote weapon, to overcome distance and to increase precision. The AI did not decide. It only ensured that the operators' choices were carried out as accurately as possible. In Absard, villagers whispered about the attack for days. International news reported it worldwide. Analysts studied it, trying to understand the new reality of modern operations, where human intent and machine assistance could combine in ways never seen before. Quiet Road had become a symbol, a place where old rules of confrontation met the new tools of technology. Days passed after the attack, but its effects rippled far beyond Absard. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh's death made headlines worldwide. Governments, analysts, and intelligence experts debated the operation's meaning. Was it the start of a new era where remote weapons and AI-assisted systems could carry out precision strikes? Or was it just an extraordinary one-time event, dependent entirely on human planning? In Tehran, investigations unfolded. Officials examined the roads, questioned witnesses, and reviewed surveillance footage. They saw only fragments: the sudden violence, the abandoned pickup truck, and the chaos among security guards. The scientists, the villagers, the authorities, all tried to reconstruct the moment, but many details remained hidden from public view. The weapon's true mechanics, its software, and its operators remained mysteries. Meanwhile, in the distant operations center, the team debriefed. The mission had succeeded, according to every metric they measured. The target had been neutralized, civilians were mostly unharmed, and the system had performed flawlessly under human control. Yet the silence afterward was heavy. Even with months of planning and technology, the reality of ending a human life weighed on those responsible. They had not built a killer machine. They had built a precise tool, but one whose purpose had deadly consequences. The AI had not decided anything. It had not pulled the trigger by itself. Its role had been to assist, stabilize, compensate, filter, and correct. All critical decisions had been made by humans. But the world, watching from afar, struggled to understand the boundaries between human intent and machine precision. The distinction, so clear inside the operations room, was often blurred in public perception. Analysts reflected on what had happened. The weapon had shown the power of combining human planning with advanced technology. Small corrections, micro-adjustments, and real-time analysis had made the operation possible from thousands of kilometers away. It was a demonstration that modern tools could extend human capability. For better or worse, in Absard, the quiet road eventually returned to normal. Children played near the roadside. Villagers tended their fields, and the pickup truck was removed, leaving no trace of the weapon inside. Yet the memory lingered. The operation became a symbol of a new reality, where technology could amplify human decisions, where precision could be separated from presence, and where ordinary places could suddenly become sites of extraordinary events. Somewhere far away, the operators moved on to other missions. The AI-assisted system was packed, studied, and prepared for future use. And in the world beyond, discussions continued about ethics, about technology, about the thin line between human choice and machine support.